Hi, welcome everyone to our PATH Luncheon. And PATH stands for Positive Action Toward Housing. We welcome you today. Wish we could be in person. Feels a little strange, but we are happy that you could come and listen to our speakers today, be updated on what we're doing at St. Francis Center in our housing arena, and just be with us and support the efforts that St. Francis Center has been active in for 38 years this year. Before we get started, I want to introduce you to a few people who will be part of our activities today, but they're going to be behind the scenes. First, I want to introduce you to Amanda Pennington. She's on our staff here at St. Francis Center, and she's standing by, willing to chat with you. You can click the blue button and let us know that you are tuning in today. So if you could just do that now, just click the blue button on your screen and let us know that you're there. And feel free throughout the afternoon, late morning, early afternoon, to chat with Amanda. And she will be interacting with the speakers. Second, I want to introduce Michelle from Boulder Events. Michelle is standing by to help with any questions that you may have. She can help with any technical issues you might have and can also place a donation for you. We want to make it as easy as possible for you to be connected to us today, and certainly as easy as possible to make a donation to us today. Please contact her at 678-643-5167. I also want to take the opportunity today at this point to thank our sponsors. Their names and companies have been up on the screen prior to us starting today, and we will mention them during the program. We couldn't have done this today without our sponsors. Housing. And if we think about housing, we usually think about our home. And we sometimes take that for granted. Like this morning, I was fixing my breakfast in my nice warm kitchen. I was getting my chai ready, and my wife walked in and she said, "No coffee. You're supposed to brew the coffee." And I said, "I don't drink coffee, so I don't do it." And she left the room, and I was a little concerned there, but she came back quickly with a Bible in her hand, and she opened the Bible and she pointed out to me the book of Hebrews. Get it? Coffee, Hebrews. Okay, so some of you are just sharing some uproarious laughter, and the others of you are rolling your eyes. Okay, I can handle either one of those responses. But housing is certainly, for those of us who have it, we expect it to be there every time we come home or leave, and know that we'll still be there. This year has been critical for our homes. We had a place to be. We might feel a little stir crazy being in our homes so much, but I was happy that I had a home to go home to. And housing is really a key in our lives to health, self-sufficiency, self-worth, stability, which is why we're really thrilled to update you on the progress of our newest housing project that St. Francis Center is working on right now with our development partners. And that housing is Warren Residences. It's located at 14th and Gilpin. It's a church, so it'll stick out right away. It's a church that's been around for over 100 years. Over the next 45 minutes, We will share with you the latest on Warren Residences, and we will hear from our very talented architect, Chad Holtzinger, about the value of reusing this historic church to build affordable housing for our community members who are experiencing homelessness. We will also hear the powerful story of one of our employment program clients. And then we will also introduce you to the director of the new Warren Residences, Susan Fajo. So here's the update on Warren Residences. We purchased the Warren Church at the end of 2019. The location of the building, as I said, is in Capitol Hill at 14th and Gilpin. We had been renting space there for the past or previous 10 years for our employment office. And so we had a good relationship with the people who attended the church, as well as the larger Methodist conference. But the congregation was really wilting, and they got down to just a couple handful of members. And at that point, they decided that it was time to close. The Methodist conference, some of the leadership there approached me and said, you know, you've been here for a while. Are you interested in staying here and doing something with this building? Because we really appreciate what you've been doing for community members here. And I said, well, we're really interested in this building. And what we were thinking of doing is perhaps building some housing in the space. They felt that that was a very sacred thing to do in a very sacred space. And so we were able to purchase both the building and the hall for the church. And now we're in the midst of making some big improvements and changes in the building. Warren Methodist was built in the early 20th century. We are making some minor external modifications to the building, and it's really not the church itself, but Fellowship Hall, which if you drive by there again, 14th and Gilpin, you can see that the Fellowship Hall the roof on it has been raised a bit, and so we would be able to have more housing units in there. We are reusing and renovating the building so that we can have 48 units of housing for people. And the units will be somewhat small because people will have their own room, but they will share the other amenities of the building, like the dining room, the kitchen, the bathrooms. Those will be shared. All the people who will be residing in that, or our hope is that most of the people at least, will be people who are transitioning out of homelessness. There are people who will be either working or looking for work. And so they will get a lot of support in stabilizing their lives through the housing, but also through the work. So as I was saying before, we used to have our employment office in that building, but we had to move them in order to have the construction go on. And so we moved that employment office just down the street to another church, Althea Church. And here you have a picture of a couple of our employees, Julianne, who is the assistant director of that project, and Ronnie, who is our director of the employment services. Employment will continue to happen there, and that team will help the residents of Warren to get a job or to continue to support them in their job. As you can see, the building, both the outside of it and the inside of it. Right now, we are doing construction, and we've been under construction since August of 2020. Framing is happening right now, and all the electrical, plumbing, and mechanical has already been pretty much completed. We popped the roof, as I said, on Fellowship Hall and added 4 dormers, which you can see in these pictures. New windows have been added to some of the places, but also, as you'll notice, the stained glass windows have remained in place. And because they were pretty well worn, or at least the wood around those windows, and that's me in the picture, the company that we were able to hire to do the reconstruction of those windows is just pretty much finishing up their job now, and have kept those beautiful stained glass windows in place. We hope to complete the construction of the building mid-September, and then have our residents moving in by the first week of October. And so we're really thrilled that this has all come together. It's come together because of a lot of people's ingenuity and creativity. And some of the other things that we're looking at is, a grand opening sometime in September, which you will hear about. You can see that we're going to be doing some upgrading of the outside of the building too, adding some more trees. We'll have a very nice patio area as well. As is these days, moving into any neighborhood and doing something like this causes a little stir. But fortunately, we had some great partners involved, particularly the Capitol Hill United Neighborhoods Association and Capitol Hill United Ministries Association. They were both very supportive of what we're doing, and so made it much easier for us to put together a good neighborhood agreement and get the support and the understanding of neighbors. Because when you say the word homeless, it's sometimes a red flag for many people. But I'll just tell you, for many people, it's not that. And you are those people and others. And they are thinking not to be fearful, but how can we make the lives of our community members who are experiencing homelessness better? And one of the best ways is to create housing. And so, as I said, we'll be partners. We've been partners with some great people, development partners, Blue Line, and also the construction company for this was Taylor Coors. One of the most important group of people on this project was our architectural firm, Shopworks. And Chad Holtzinger is the owner of that company and the brains behind it, with some other very creative people. And we're so happy to be working with Chad. I have been surprised at how tuned in he is to the experience of our people and how thoughtful he is about making and creating the best type of environment, home, for the people that will live in this building. So without further comments on Chad, I'm very happy to introduce you to Chad Holtzinger of Shopworks.
Well, thanks, Tom. Thanks for inviting me to participate in this. I'm humbled and honored and intimidated. The format of these things is a little bit beyond what I'm capable of, but so bear with me. But let's have a little bit of fun, talk about the process of creating housing in an adaptive reuse of a really lovely church in Capitol Hill. The story starts with a lot of curiosity, a considerable amount of humility, and a little bit of magic. The environment of the Warren Church, we very early adopted the term Hogwarts for the project because the interior environment of this church is so amazing. And this is a project of community, and what a better kind of ideal than this connection of community within this sacred building. The design of the Warren Church was designed by William Fisher in 1907. He's a very famous architect from Denver, and he and his brother eventually formed an architectural practice called Fisher and Fisher, and they designed a lot of buildings that you would recognize, South High School, among others. And so our responsibility to this project started off with one of the foundational building in our city. And that's a responsibility that we took very seriously. How do you put housing into a church? The uses aren't very similar, actually. The code stuff is not real obvious. And it's a church that had been adapted over the years. So in the 1950s, there was an addition of a fellowship hall and a chapel. It was well considered at the time. I think the architecture is really complementary. And so when Tom walked in and said, hey, what do you think? Let's try and fit housing into this building. We said, great, let's go for it. And the odyssey began. The site is really well located within the city. It's near Colfax, it's near downtown. There's a lot of transit, employment. The employment center that St. Francis Center had been running there for a decade was there for a great reason. And when we're thinking about housing, we love locations like this because it's pedestrian friendly. There's a giant park nearby. And access to a lot of resources. And so the residents can really have a community. We don't need a lot of additional infrastructure to create a really dignified home. It's also in the Wyman Historic District. And so not only is the building a significant building, but there is a district and it's regulated by the City of Denver's Landmark Commission. And so the responsibility of creating housing into a building that's not only historically significant, but also within the district was something that we were beginning to weigh. And so, as Tom mentioned, the only real exterior modifications we made to the building are in the form of dormers on the fellowship hall. Of course, there's a lot of work that's going inside the building, as you can imagine, converting a church and a fellowship hall and meeting rooms and stuff like that into housing. But we really wanted a light touch and a touch that was consistent with the architectural expression, not only of the existing church architecture, but also the community. When we start projects like this, we're always thinking about the mental health of the residents and of the community. Our research has led us to really focus in on the idea of an ACE score, which is adverse childhood experiences. As when folks experience significant trauma in their youth, it turns out to be the case that rewires their brain, and it's a physiological phenomenon. And our idea is to try and connect to healing that rewiring and form a community that centers around comfort and choice and community, with environments that foster community or connection to others, maybe spark a little bit of joy, Certainly safety is always on our mind. And so how do we create that for folks who may have problems trusting or connecting with others? The architects are really good on Maslow's hierarchy of needs. We're good at physiological needs and safety needs. But how do we create places and buildings and environments that foster a place for self-esteem, love and belonging, and in our best form, self-actualization? And this project, I think, really provided a great platform to engage with these ideas. So as we entered into the project, we had to do a lot of digging. You know, this building was constructed in the 1900s, early 1900s. There weren't a lot of drawings. And we didn't know what the structure really was, and we didn't know how to identify that. So we started poking holes and stuff, and Taylor cores and shop workers and our structural engineer all rolled up our sleeves and crawled into the dark, scary places and measured things and really tried to create a culture for this project, one of precision, as you can see. My colleague Bart trying to figure out how far things are. Also commitment. Nick Remington, our structural engineer, gets a Heroes Award for this project. He crawled in every nook and cranny. That's his boot actually sticking up through a hole in the floor in the fellowship hall as he was measuring the size of the foundations. And last but not least, timing. Like the other hole he climbed in, fell apart later, and he was not there to suffer that, thankfully. But then there's the environment of the building. You know, the sanctuary is really graceful. It's so simple. The light in there is beautiful. The windows that Tom was talking about are kind of an amber stained glass, and they're phenomenal. The time of the day, the time of the year, the environment just changes. And we really wanted to make sure that the community heart experienced that. And so our kitchen and living and dining areas, kind of the place of community, was centered in that, kind of on the south side of the building where the light would kind of permeate and create a culture of the building. And then we had all these kind of weird environments in which to create offices and housing units. And so the result is that, you know, the design of the building tried to capitalize on the dignity of that sanctuary space. The next slide illustrates kind of what it looks like now, you know, walking through, and you can see the quality of the light and the connection, the visual connection to the living areas and kitchen. I think the residents will have the opportunity to really feel both safe and part of a remarkable community. The renovation process also is a restoration process. And so a lot of our focus was on how do we ensure that the structure will be in place in 2021. So the responsibility of fixing the windows and the bricks was part of the process. We also spent a lot of time and energy thinking about how do we create a safe outdoor environment to connect people indoor and outdoor. So the yard, the sanctuary, and the fellowship hall create a natural courtyard. And so creating an environment where the residents are free to come in and out and connect with one another was a big part of our ideology. And last, the fellowship hall was a real fun and at various times terrifying part of the project. These dormers that we talked about earlier, they seem simple, but there's these really beautiful trusses that you can't walk through. And Tom was like, well, we need 40 or 50 units, Chad, like get your act together. And I'm thinking, okay, we'll figure it out. And, the next slide shows the quality of these trusses. Can't walk through it. It looks like they engineered those pretty carefully. But then we had a thought. Maybe we should use the Fink truss. And everybody's heard of this, I know. It's obvious once you say it. But that truss shape in modifying these existing trusses into a Fink truss is what we did. And so, as you can see, it wasn't complicated. It was just a simple function of math. And Nick, who dug through all the holes and stuff, he actually had to do a whole bunch of math, I think, to figure out how to do this. And what ended up happening is that we produced a opening for a corridor so that residents could access really cute apartments in these dormers. So beyond, and this is a view of one of these apartments in the dormers. They're the cutest little sleeping units. This one's looking into the courtyard, and really stunning little spots. The next slide is one where I'm long on time, so I won't belabor it, but as we navigated the zoning ordinance and the building codes, it became readily apparent, and this is the humility part of the project, that that these kinds of projects really aren't contemplated in either the building or zoning ordinance. And so everything we've encountered, we felt like we take 2 giant steps forward and then we take 10 giant steps backwards. And so fitting this project into a building that's both safe and honors the intent of our community's codes, and importantly creates that kind of community that we're talking about within the building was a big part of it. So at the end, we're really pleased to say that we're on the journey of a magical transformation of this church into housing. And so thank you for letting me spend a few minutes with you. And Tom, I guess it's your turn again.
Thanks, Chad. Thought it was very interesting just explaining how things happened and came together. And Chad didn't share with you, but I will share with you that Chad said this was the most challenging project he's ever encountered. And yet he stuck with it. And I appreciate that. And because of the creativity and keeping the church basically and the fellowship hall in place, we won the Chun Preservation Award for last year for just basically preserving a great space and making it something that will be very helpful and useful for years to come. So we are going to have one of our former guests share with us some of his life experience and how our employment office was able to help him. So Fred Wilson will speak to us right now.
Hello, everybody. Thank you for letting me be a part of the Path Lunch today. My name is Fred Wilson. I grew up in San Diego, California, and moved to Denver in November 17th of 2020, and had just got out of prison and left from prison to there. I spent 26 years in prison and was released 7 months ago. Since I was released from prison, it's been quite rough. I've moved 5 times in 7 months, and after 26 years in prison, the new technology is overwhelming. For everyone who doesn't know that life, for anyone who is just now getting back into it, it's a lot to get used to. It was all very overwhelming and very much a mess. Everything was new to me. Everything was thrown at me at one time. I was thinking, I need to live over here. I need to go here for an appointment. I need to have a job. I need to do this. I need to do that. It was all coming at me at one time and was very overwhelming. But now it's getting better. It's getting easier. St. Francis Center has helped me to become established, to be able to have my own house and pay my own rent after I found my most recent apartment. St. Francis helped me with the deposit and helped me with budgeting. They have also helped me with getting and maintaining my 2 jobs. I've been working 2 jobs for a while now, and those jobs have helped me to be able to afford my rent and to be able to pay my own way. St. Francis helped me also with a bunch of other resources, including connecting me with mental health resources to keep me going if I need support, if I need food, if I need clothing, if I need shelter or a place to live. I can get support at St. Francis Center. That helps me to be more relaxed, enables me to take on more responsibilities. It helps me to help myself. It makes me very appreciative. In my current housing situation, I feel safe and secure. On Friday, I will go pick up my checks. Yes, that's plural. So I will have enough for rent and have plenty of money left over. It's a blessing to be able to have a job and pay rent and still have enough left over to take care of my responsibilities. I feel very comfortable and very secure now in my own place. I am happy. It's been a great help and a great blessing to be a part of St. Francis because you really helped me transition into society, and thank you for that. I am getting a chance to live, a chance to be free, even with some stipulations. But stipulations, that's everybody's life. Everybody has stipulations, everybody has rules. And I appreciate all of it. I appreciate mixed with doing something about it. My situation has really been a force for good in my life. Your opportunities opened up. People are willing to help when you can help yourself. And now, because I am able to help myself, I'm able to help others. Maybe I'm not able to help them in all ways I've been helped, but by sharing my progress and my experiences, maybe I can help others become successful in this community, especially in the journey to travel out of long incarcerations or jails or homelessness or from the effects of COVID. Whatever it may be, being able to give back, to want to do that, to have time to do that is awesome because I have appreciation for how many people help me. Thank you for letting me do this interview and staying with you guys on this luncheon, and I appreciate you and thank you very much.
Wow, so that was my first time hearing Fred's story. And Fred, I just want to appreciate you for sharing that with us. And you are a hardworking young man. So thank you for sharing that. Good afternoon. Afternoon is a term we use here at the St. Francis Center to greet each other between morning and afternoon. My name is Susan Bajo, and I will be the Director of Warren Residences. To this position, I bring 30 years of working with housing programs and individuals experiencing homelessness. But first and foremost, I'm an artist. And Chad, I've picked out my unit. I want the one in the sanctuary with the 3 little windows. It's pretty wonderful. I will be taking you on a journey this day, looking through my lens. This journey will bring us back full circle to anticipate the opening of Warren Residences, St. Francis Center's 3rd housing project. Let us begin. Over 30 years ago, my daughter Claire and I were driving to our art studio and talking about what we would do that night, a special night. There was a blue moon. I shared with her about the Golan Kole moon book, the name for calendar I learned as a Peace Corps volunteer in Liberia, and the significance of the blue moon. After all my talking, my daughter turns to me and says, "Mom, sometimes when I was younger," she was 7 at the time, "I did not know what you were talking about. Now that I'm older, I find you interesting." I recently heard Yo-Yo Ma on the radio, and he said he still carries a curiosity and attentiveness with every new project he takes on, something he calls a beginner's mind. As we proceed, I'm asking you to find your beginner's mind, your 7-year-old self. In November 1999, 7 men experiencing homelessness were murdered in lower downtown Denver. 2 of the victims beheaded and found behind Union Station in the field. In response to this tragedy, service providers in Denver set up an outreach tent on the edge of the field, and Claire, who was 12 at the time, and I volunteered. One gentleman asked Claire repeatedly, "Why are you here?" And of course she answered, "I'm with my mom." He asked again because the question was bigger, "Why are you here?" We talked about the incident on our way home. We did not have an answer, and this is the kind of stuff we thought about a lot and talked about often on our way to and from school, driving through what is now Rhino. There was a time in the 1990s when there was conflict between gangs in Denver. It received statewide attention in 1993 when a summer of violence increased public awareness. I remember there was conflict between Black people and brown people, and it had occurred in neighborhoods that are now being gentrified. In 2005, I left the housing industry for a time and I got my teaching license. For 5 years, I taught art, literacy, and I was an advisor at PS1 Charter School. The students I taught during those 5 years found their way back into my world after I left teaching and worked in positions at the Women's Shelter and at St. Francis Center. One of my students, a young Native American woman, died of a drug overdose while at the Women's Shelter, and one young Black man murdered someone in the streets near St. Francis Center. The circumstances in both of these incidents demonstrates a failure of systems and trauma early on in these 2 individuals' lives. Seeing the interconnectedness of these systems, the structural violence that victimizes our community members of color is part of my education. An education that is ongoing because these things have been happening and are continuing to happen. The past year has been a challenge on so many different levels. The pandemic has magnified racial and social inequities in education, healthcare, criminal justice, policing, and housing. My bubble for the past 15 months has been the St. Francis Center Day Shelter, where 400 to 500 individuals experiencing homelessness were welcomed every single day. This has been my work while I wait for the opening of Warren residences. I think about what the man asked my daughter, "Why are you here?" and the difference between the work and the job. I still don't have the answers, but I believe that trying a different approach, seeing things through an artist's lens, bringing our beginner's mind, will create a platform so that we can further our work. Art has given me my voice for many years. I have learned that a good idea, a clear mission, guides my decision-making related to a project or a problem, the problem and practicing disciplines seen as positive challenges. I see Warren Residences as a community that is inclusive and equitable, where we practice compassionate excellence and tenacious optimism. And we are lifelong learners who embrace curiosity, wonder, and adventure. We understand that the work is hard and that we are better together. Warren Residences is a collaborative effort to stabilize individual lives and impact the larger community. I have learned that the individuals I am solving the problem for must be part of the solution. At Warren, we are creating that initial framework that is being guided by the big idea of supporting all residents, those employed and those not employed, with the tools and resources each individual needs to thrive and develop their power of purpose. In addition, we are brainstorming norms in an effort to create a safe and welcoming community where there are shared kitchens and bathrooms, with the open mindset that these norms can and will be reevaluated once the residents move in and we hear what they have to say. We will be working closely with the St. Francis Center Employment Services Program, which provides a holistic approach to supporting individuals with employment and housing. In our Housing First model, we will provide enrichments to stimulate visioning, provide physical and mental health support, all to encourage our residents to find their voice and set goals. We will hold each other accountable, and we will use harm reduction and trauma-informed care practices and encourage our residents to dream and imagine within Warren residences. Kamala Harris was recently talking to a group of school children, and she directed this to the little girls and told them that they can be anything. And one little girl said that she wanted to be everything. I like to think that I can do anything, but I can't do everything without your support. After all, isn't that why we are here today? So I'm so excited to work on this project, and I want to acknowledge Fred for sharing his voice and the work that the architects, our funders, the contractors, consultants, community partners, our neighbors, and Tom have all done. Like snaps to everybody. I'm delighted to imagine that this interesting and magical space is going to be home to 48 residents very soon. But we do need your help. We cannot make all of this a reality for our unhoused community members without you. A quick reminder on how to give today. You should see a green donate button and simply click that link to give at any time. You can choose one of the preset levels, or if you want to give a different amount, there's another box. If you have any questions, or if you would like us to enter a donation for you, contact Michelle with Boulder Events at 678-643-5167.
Well, hi, Susan.
Hey, Andrew.
How are you doing?
I'm good.
Thank you for sharing some screen time with me today and your artwork. Amazing stuff. I love seeing it. And Susan's a great artist. I'm excited to have a moment to jump into the Path Lunch today. I'm Andrew Spinks. I'm the development director here at St. Francis Center. And we're just very happy that you've taken a moment out of your busy day to hear about Warren Residences, to hear about the project. It means an awful lot to us. And by the way, it's awesome that we're vaccinated so we can stand next to each other without masks.
Susan,
so we're getting back to normal. So that's great. Do you know what part of the show this is right now?
This is the bringing it home part of the show.
Bringing it on home part of the show. This is where we bring it home. This is the home stretch. Why do I keep saying home? Because that's what it's all about. We're gathering together as a supportive community to create home, a place of stability for 48 individuals who will come into St. Francis Center, Warren Residences, who have not had a stable place to live for years and years. And it's a beautiful thing that we can transform their moment in their lives and stabilize where they live so that they can excel in their work and give back and give back to our community, just like Fred talked about. Wasn't Fred great?
He was great.
Fred was awesome.
Yeah.
And he was behind bars, justice involved for many, many years, but he's come back into our community. And Fred is the kind of individual that we're talking about supporting at this time. Just so I can remind you, this is actually our 7th Path Lunch. And as is our normal custom for Path Lunch, we have a generous gift that's been given to us of $50,000. So any gifts of $100 or more will be matched up to that $50,000 limit, which is a beautiful thing. Now is the time to multiply your effect. And also you get that great Denver Enterprise Zone tax credit as well, which is great round about tax time, and it was extended this year. So it's probably people are still thinking about taxes a little bit, but you can get your tax credit as well. And remember that for many people, this will be the first time they're coming back to a home in many, many years. So we're going to show you a slide right now about the impact of your gift. And Susan and I will talk about it a little bit. We're showing different levels where people can get engaged. Again, gifts of $100 or more will be matched. But it's important at this point for us to fund this project at all levels. It's not just about the rudimentary elements of somebody's home. We're talking about giving them a place to live and residential stability. So, for instance, as you can see, if you can do a gift, and all gifts count, by the way, somebody's gift at $75 is the same as somebody's who might be able to give a 4 or 5 figure gift. Every one of them is part of community here and makes a big difference. But for us, we're looking for things, household items, right?
Yes. We have 4 kitchen bays that we need to outfit with pots and pans and plates. Anything you think you use during the day, we need it.
Absolutely. So,
And we'll get Tom to brew the coffee.
That's right. That's Tom's job. He'll have to brew the coffee. So, and we need money to help people with work clothes and uniforms and tools and things like that, because people are going to be working out of this once they live in this space and going off to work. So we're needing gifts at all those items. You can see them on the screen, all the way up to a large gift of $15,000 is the equivalent of housing and supportive services for an entire year for somebody. So that's a big bite for somebody to chew, but it just shows you the funding supports at all levels. And all of you know that St. Francis Center is a great steward of your partnership with us, and we do the maximum that we can do to make your gift and investment count. In fact, it's been the case for years, and it still is, that 91 cents out of every dollar you give to us goes directly to the programs and services of the people we serve. Keep that in mind. And so while you're contemplating how to do a donation, you can use the predefined levels that are on there, or choose whatever level works for you. I want to take a quick moment here to thank, as we were on the home stretch, I want to thank our sponsors for today. Our highest level of sponsorship is our marble level, and ProLink Solutions, who has supported us for so many years, they've come in and they've become a marble sponsor with us. And also at our terrazzo level, we have Taylor Coors, who's been mentioned today. They're our contractor partner. They've done an amazing job, and they've partnered with us to help support the project. We also have an anonymous family foundation that's donated at the terrazzo level. These 3 great organizations were also joined at the slate level by Trinity Partners, Elkhorn Engineering, Jay Brown, Sally Brown, no relation there, Bo Simone Consulting, the Pickard family, and of course, the St. Francis Center Board of Directors, who are fully behind this project as well, have come in at the slate level. And our friends just down the street here at Sakura Square are contributors as well. Thank you to all our Bedrock supporters. You've made this amazing project a reality. We can't do it without that sponsorship up front. So as far as any questions that people might have, or you're having trouble with the donation, you can still contact Michelle. She's still available, and she is still at that number, 678-643-5167. Or
If you'd like to pay by check, you can write your check payable to St. Francis Center, Tension Warren Residences, and mail it to our mailing address at 2323 Curtis Street, Denver, Colorado, 80205.
thank you for considering the impact of this project. It is a one-of-a-kind project, no question about it. As you've seen, Hogwarts is not easy to replicate, and you can be a part of this project by supporting it. And for all of you that have done it already, thank you so much. We just can't do it without you. So
Hey,
now,
Andrew. Hey,
Yes.
Andrew.
yes, Amanda.
This is Amanda.
Nice.
I just wanted to let you both know that we've gotten some donations coming in, quite a few at $500 per donation. So
Great.
keep it up. For every
Thank you.
$100, we get a $100 match. Don't
That's right.
stop.
Absolutely. Thank you. So the donations are coming in. We really appreciate it. It means an awful lot to us to know that you're out there encouraging this kind of work. This is one-of-a-kind work, and we can't do it without community support and our donor support. So again, thank you so much for that. The ability to donate will continue all day. So if you can't do it right now, you can come back. You can send a check, just like you said. Please consider what it means to be part of this and to help us meet that match. And at this point, I think we'll turn it back to Tom for the final goodbye, as we truly do hit the home stretch here. Tom?
Thank you. Susan and Andrew. Very good. A good duet there. And I also wanted to thank Chad, Fred, and Susan for being speakers today. Very inspiring, all of you. I also want to point out that Andrew and Amanda were the two people who really coordinated this whole event, led it, created it. And we're grateful also to Linda, Michelle, and Elise from Boulder Events for coordinating the tech piece of this event, which is always challenging, but they've done a great job with it. Just a few things as you're busily making your donation. I just wanted to let you know that St. Francis Center has continued to stay open throughout the pandemic. And we will continue to stay open every day because our people who do not yet have housing, do not yet have a home, count on us to be there for them, and we will be. We have some of our volunteers continuing to come back and support us and help us, and we're grateful for them. The other important announcement I want to make today is that St. Francis Center will be starting up and running one of the SOS projects that you might have read about or heard about in the media. Safe outdoor space, a place where some of those people who are camping out on the streets and living pretty rough will be able to come to and have a more coordinated life outside with nice tents, with bathrooms, big point, with food being brought to them and served to them, with other resources like showers, a shower, mobile shower unit coming to them, mobile laundry unit, and also having access, because they will consistently be in the same place, to services like mental health, to our outreach workers who will help them find other resources in the community that will help them move off the streets, including housing. So we will be starting that up in June. And if you have more interest in that, please let me know. Connect with us. I want to let you just reflect on this as we close. A quote from Mother Teresa, who said, "We can work all day long, and it only feels like we are a drop in the ocean. But if our individual drops were not in the ocean would be dry. And without each of you, our ocean would be dry. Without each of you, many people would continue to be experiencing homelessness." So I just want you to never forget how important you are to St. Francis Center. Thanks all of you who have participated today. We hope to see you soon in person. And if any of you are looking to hear more of my jokes, please stay on the line. I have a few more left. Thanks.